And then just like ask
Say to leave, yeah. And that's when trouble would come. If I refuse to leave, like, all right, you're saying I can't be here with the table and the sign, okay, perfect. But can I still be here?
Well, the lady finally responded to us, and there's more drama, I guess, but I don't know if it really matters.
There's nobody in his classroom. I mean, you know.
Not for here.
Staff member,
Over by Ben Shapiro. They
said that the.
Oh, he's gonna be at the main campus, the performing arts.
Something like that.
I think that's what the cop said, that he's at the performance arts.
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes away from here.
Yeah, but he was able to pull up this with your picture on it and said, this is where, it said 20.
This is the first meeting. We're early. His thing doesn't go till 7:30.
7:30, and yours at 5:30.
So I figured he'd spend 30 minutes in here bullshitting and tell us my life's story basically, and then from there just start taking a walk, and we'd get there around 6:30. Sit outside with a table. That's what the table's for, and a sign, and be out there because it doesn't matter. The chaos is going to be there. You understand?
That's good. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Well,
Education.
You're gonna get it, dude.
Education.
No. It's not even about the Second Amendment. You have no idea how crazy
Right.
some of the stuff that's probably going to go on.
I was
like I've seen. If you don't remember when I can't say it was here.
Was it UCF with Caitlin Bennett?
Yeah, or it was something like that, dude. Freaking complete chaos show, dude. It was nuts. And I'm like, and when this guy shows up, or Candace Owens, or anyone, you name them, when they show up, everybody friggin's like, oh no, and they all freak out.
Fisherman, nice to meet you, man.
Mike, dude.
Mike, that's very cool.
What's your name?
I'm Blake. I'm the
Blake?
vice president.
Oh, thanks, man.
Nice shirt we're gonna.
Thanks.
Hi, Blake.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Jerry, Florida Audits.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Another YouTuber.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people, like I said, all I can do is promote it and say something about it, and it's like, hey.
I have no idea either. It's hit or miss already, but as I said, it's weird because we had you scheduled for a while, and then I guess they changed the date of Shapiro, so I want to give you a heads up that like maybe fewer people would attend because they'd be attending, but who knows? They could all fit in.
Even for 15 or 20 minutes, I can say something, even if there's not people here, and I can at least say something. But I do know that there's a lot more talking points to be talked about over there.
Yeah.
And we need them to be speaking more actually than you. You should be answering questions. They should be asking them. That's
I want to
educate.
And like you we're talking about this whole permit thing. It's like, a couple weeks, and it's like, all right, and now you found out who's coming, and that's what I'm keeping in the back of my head is like, they found out who's coming, and they're like, we don't. No.
I have no idea what their problem is.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
I'll check the email right now, see if anything new.
It's basically just what I told you, but yeah, just if you wouldn't mind, I guess, reaching
Yeah.
out to that dude, or make whatever decision you think is right. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure
It's
we'll be
your
You want to know something, man? I'm okay with just going there, and if they say no, I'm like, okay, man. I just won't come in with the table and sign.
Yeah, she made it seem like that if we wanted to do a table there, we had to like ask this guy who he already asked and he never responded. So I don't know, but
Yeah.
because they told him your permit's approved, but ask this guy because he's like the babysitter of the area or something. So I'm not really sure what the deal is, but
It is what it is. It's still funny. Dude, I saw so many people. There's so many people on this campus. So many. It's crazy.
I'm almost thinking that the walk over there will be the coolest part of this event.
Yeah. Even just talking with people.
Because people will be like, oh, what's going on?
I'm surprised we didn't get much slack down in Fort Lauderdale that day. I mean Clearwater, where your buddy, I'm surprised that went as smooth as what it did.
Yeah, that one, Clearwater's. Another cop was just arrested. He pulled over some chick or something to that effect, and was like, "Look, if you don't want a ticket, you have to sleep with me."
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh.
he just got arrested for it.
Good.
And I mean, yeah, and I'm like, and these are the same things that we're all. I'm like, Clearwater, you guys are a bunch of off the hinges.
Yeah, they are.
And then this stuff happens, and I'm like, yep, that's another video. That's another video. Quit giving me content, and I'll leave you alone. But you don't want to friggin'. And their biggest thing is decorum. Like they have a decorum rule there, saying like I have a shirt that says, "If my rights offend you, fuck off."
Yeah.
Well, they're saying that my shirt or me giving the council members a bird or whatever, without me saying the word F, it's against decorum. And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna kick you out." I'm like,
Yeah,
you know.
I got slack for that. What did it say? Shut it the fuck down. The pastor's the only buddy that said anything. The preacher, he said that shirt's offensive. He said you should be ashamed of yourself.
And that's one thing about freedom is freedom is actually, it's scary, because when you go to exercise it, you have to also be able to take what comes on that backside, whatever it is that you're preaching for. Your First Amendment right is your First Amendment, your Second Amendment right, whatever. And the second that you start saying anything that somebody disagrees with, you have to be able to take that back. I couldn't take it at the beginning. When I first started my channel, dude, I was reading some of the comments, I'm like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong. And they're like, no, you're a terrorist, you're this, you're like, holy shit. Man.
Yeah, talking about reading the comments, I thought it was strange how when you announced it, some guy was like, "You support Ben Shapiro? I'm so disappointed in you." And like, you didn't even watch your video.
Yeah,
like,
watch the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm not sitting here with or not against or not for him.
Yeah,
I just know that the chaos that ensues with him, I'm all about, dude. I'm like, I'm gonna be outside.
He just saw the headline and reacted.
Yeah, that's it. That's that knee-jerk reaction that most people have. All these people that are gonna be screaming, Ben Shapiro this, Ben Shapiro. You saw clips, and there's some of the things that he says that you just don't like. And like Candace said, get a helmet.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking, quit being a baby, grow up, you know, like, not everybody's gonna agree with you, and you may not agree with me.
That's what makes the USA go around. You voice your opinion.
Good thing.
You just gotta accept other people's opinions.
You know, I know some, even me, I can sit here and remember in the 90s that there wasn't like this big thing in school about, oh, you're for this and you're for that. If you didn't like, you know, and we were still friends, but on one subject or one, we just didn't agree, but we still lived on with each other, you know what I mean?
What's up, bro?
That's not how it is today. It's like,
Yeah. And the first thing comes out their mouth,
oh yeah.
the race card.
Michael Neumann.
How you doing?
First you done?
Yeah, I am.
You first.
Yeah.
What's up, Reagan?
How's it going?
Going all right.
So, did you see Childers the other day at the Black Tie Blue Jeans?
I did.
I had lunch with him yesterday, and he was like, "One of your friends came up and said hello to me. I don't remember who it was, but like, I thought it was you." And I said your name, and he's like, "Probably."
Yeah, no, he's a pretty cool guy. He's
Yeah.
a pretty cool guy.
How was the event? Yeah.
maybe what you'd expect.
Yeah, that's fine. I went to a Bible study instead with the local, like, it was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So maybe you get a better chance to find a young lady too.
Yeah.
The young lady that you're looking for.
Yeah. She's not at the Black Tie Blue Jeans, I bet, right, Michael? No. Only one. But
Yeah.
Hey, no.
hey, well, if I'm trying to find a wife, you know.
Not there. What's the degrees out there?
I think it was supposed to be colder. Now it's like 75. So I might just drop this off in my car. And not.
It's gonna drop. Once the sun actually goes down.
It got down to 47 in Ocala last night.
Yeah, they say it's gonna get in like the 50s here, and I'm like, I'm from South Florida, dude. This is way, like, even right now, I'm like, I was like, as soon as I'm done with this, you're gonna be coming, bring my sweater. I was like, whatever you do, just don't forget my sweater. I don't care what you forget.
You live in Port Richey, right?
Nah, Port St. Lucie.
Port St. Lucie.
Yeah,
But that's
just-
not that
it's
far.
just north of West Palm.
Yeah.
And we're 10 degrees warmer than you guys. When the winter hits, 10 degrees warmer. I'm like, yeah.
No, I don't. What's the weather like down there right now? It's hotter, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
10 degrees warmer here than here. Whatever it is here, it's about 10 degrees warmer there.
I'd imagine.
It's nice, but you know, I'm from Daytona, and I was used to it, but I've lived down there for so long. It's like anytime I come up here during the winter, I'm just like, oh my god. I used to go fishing in this. I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah, I saw your video a little bit ago when you were outside the old Key Lime House, like that park in Lantana.
Yeah,
And the police stopped you, and that was a very big altercation.
yeah, that was
You know,
scary.
right from around there, so.
I'll tell you that right now.
How's it
There's
I see it.
I've got 3 that probably were the scariest,
Oh, it's not. It's
and
Or
that's
it's not,
right
it's
there.
not cold.
Probably if not the most scary.
That one in Clearwater, by the fishing pier there,
They didn't
when
pull
that dude
down
come
the-
running out and, that woman come running out of cars and started, you know.
The
took-
way she grabbed me.
Yeah.
That was the
So
concern.
the best one is, here, I'll make sure you get it.
Yeah, whenever, like even when I was in, where was that? Friggin' Pinellas County, I was at Johns Pass. And the same thing, like, I'm leaving and I'm like saying bye to people, like, and, you know, everything was cool, people were chill. But as I get out, I see the cop car, I'm like, he doesn't have flashing lights, nothing. And, he opens the door, he's like, hey man, what's that? I'm like, fishing pole. He's like, that other thing. I'm like, oh, it's my AR and my Glock. And he's like, I'm like, is your gun drawn? He's like, yeah. He's like, get on the ground. I'm like, and the whole time, so once I hit the ground, I can't see what's going on, and then they're walking up, pointing their guns at me, and I'm just like, I'm not doing anything wrong. And in all these that's what I've done in the last 5 years, is that I think I've made it more knowledgeable to law enforcement, and that was the whole plan. Because even in some of the videos I've gotten recently, police don't show up, and if they do, they drive in the parking lot, they look, they're like, oh, there he is, and they keep on driving, and it's like, they've understood that that's part of it. They can do this. Not everybody likes it. I know law enforcement that email me, I'm like, hey man, like, we get what your rights are, but you know, it's like, you're making this hard for us. And I'm like,
That's kind of the point.
educate the freaking public.
Yeah.
That's what I'm out here doing. If I could talk to every person and tell them, hey, this is the law, it'd be one thing. But my videos, if they go viral or not viral, it hits 20, 30, 50, 70,000, 100,000, whatever the number is, and it gets out there. You know, and that was the whole point of this. I didn't look at it like that in the beginning, but now I definitely, I'm like, I've made a difference.
Absolutely.
There's another crazy story is, like I said, I know law enforcement people, and I have one that works in a corrections facility, and he went to a training, and they were basically talking about me and I think it was 7 other like First Amendment auditors. I'm rare here in Florida, but the other 7 people were First Amendment auditors, and like, these are rights. You have to start understanding these things, and when you understand them, don't violate them. You know, the one thing they did say was try to talk to people. You know, that's the number one thing I've said numerous times to cops is like, come talk to me. I'm like, hey, put your hands up. I'll put my hands up. I don't care. Just don't take my gun. Don't make me get on the ground. Don't treat me like a dog. Don't put me in cuffs. Don't throw me in your car. You know, just come talk to me first, and then if I'm breaking the law, then okay. You know, if I was pointing my gun at somebody, okay, I get it, but that's not the case. That's the hard part.
What exactly is the law? You're allowed to carry while you're fishing and going in between fishing?
Yep, going to and returning from. That's the one thing about the law, and I'm gonna talk about that here in a little bit, because I was in a lawsuit, and I'm not gonna talk about it, but there's parts of this lawsuit that really friggin' dishearten me, because even the judge is looking at the law, but not recognizing that it doesn't matter if I was engaged in fishing or not. The second I got out, had the fishing pole in my hand, I'm going fishing. And then I even told the cops the same thing. I'm like, I'm going fishing. So those are the quirks about some of these, and that's why I say freedom is scary. To express this right,
No.
you run that chance. Same thing with taking a camera and going into a public building or protesting or sitting there with something that somebody doesn't like. Like I've seen, some of the craziest things I've seen is like one guy, he holds a God bless the homeless vets. It's just a sign that says God bless the homeless vets. He's been arrested like 8 times.
Yeah, for panhandling, they say.
Yeah, they claim
Yeah.
panhandling.
He's collecting money.
All these different quirks, and it's just like, all he's saying is God bless the homeless.
Yeah.
They circumvent the law, or I mean, they circumvent what the policies they want to enforce. Just like on a bridge down there where you're at. It doesn't matter, there's no fishing where you're going, there was people fishing there.
It doesn't matter.
So that's not, they're trying to find excuses.
And then even if I couldn't fish where I was going, I wasn't there.
You, yeah.
You were on an expedition, as you're saying.
I was on my way. But you're telling me I can't, so if not, I'm
Yeah.
gonna turn around and I'm walking away. It would have been one whole other thing if I'd been on, in my deposition, I asked him, I was like, what are the laws about trespassing? And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we didn't get you for trespassing. I was like, that's the point I'm trying to make right now, is that I wasn't even there, and you're trying to arrest me for something that I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
But, hey.
Too bad, you didn't have someone like, they
Okay.
could probably got you through your appeal. You know, cause you didn't know,
I
you
will
know,
friggin' leave my email for anybody who wants to go along with it.
He did a
Because
pro
right
se
now,
and-
technically, none of you are none of you are lawyers. You're all
Most of these guys are not in law school. It's just me.
okay. If anybody knows somebody that's in law school, you are not a lawyer until you become a lawyer. So
Right.
you can actually you can basically ghostwrite for me. You can
Yeah.
write it, and I do pro se, and I send that shit to them. We'll talk about that.
Well, I think that they try to get you for doing that if someone were to find out, where it's assisting someone like with legal advice.
If they're not a lawyer. If you are a lawyer and you ghostwrite for me, then that's the crime. There is a crime for that.
Well,
I know paralegals that ghostwrite for people for pro se, and then there's anybody that can learn about laws that
Okay.
understand it, that can basically ghostwrite for you. I still have to give him information about the situation, but he can write certain things about the litigation.
well, I haven't looked into it, but I would be surprised if they allow law students to do that.
Yeah, well, damn. I wanna get you before you're there, man. Yeah, call me after you're done. I'm like, hey, man, I'll take
Yeah,
the
they
cases.
do try to crack down on people doing practicing without a license, because it's all kind of just a gatekeeping scheme,
Mhm.
unfortunately, where they make you go, through the application process, then go through the 3 years, and then go through the character and fitness, and then go through the exam, and
Oh, yeah.
they make it hard.
Oh, yeah.
Training
For sure.
members, internship, or-
It's funny too, in the Florida
Same
Constitution,
time.
it's illegal to have a mandatory union, but the Florida bar is exempt for some reason, and not by law, but by case law.
Oh, yeah.
Blue tie.
Case law, yeah, and it's weird with, certain, I say about government, there's like, they have certain things that allow them to circumvent certain things. Like certain things we can't do, but they can kind of get a little pass on it.
Yeah.
And it's weird like that. I've seen that even when I've gone through court cases.
That's crazy.
You just start seeing all the things that happen inside the court. And yeah, it's just crazy. What's going on, man? How you doing? Good.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. it's looking
Thank you,
forward to
sir.
it.
Feel free to start whenever. Sometimes people trickle in a couple minutes.
Hey, it's whatever, man. I know we got some other things. We got a, 20-minute walk from here?
I think so.
Harness on there.
But feel free to just do whatever you like. We like to do.
Oh, you didn't-
Yeah, like I said, man, it's gonna be more, I'm gonna give a life story real fast and then if you have any questions,
I probably don't have it
anything,
on my phone.
whatever.
I don't.
Oh, crap.
was there.
Nice. I got a plug for them in like 5th grade. Cause I got like a perfect score on the math, like F cap or.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And that was former congressman. Can't remember his name.
Mm. Florida or,
Yeah,
no,
is it Yoho or something?
no.
Yeah, Ted Yoho
Yeah.
was a congressman. Yeah.
Mm.
All right, how y'all doing?
Good.
All right. My name's Mike Taylor. I go by the Armed Fisherman or Solo Yacker on YouTube. And just to give you a little life story, since I was 8 years old, I've been fishing. I was a professional fisherman for about 2 years on the IFA kayak tour. It was part of my life. Roughly about 5, almost 6 years ago now, if you remember the Parkland incident, I saw a lot of the Moms Demand Action and the March of Our Lives spawn from that. And that was when, like, I was all about our constitutional rights, but I didn't own a gun at the time. And I was just like, I don't need a gun. I'm like, my life is pretty safe, blah, blah, blah. But then I started seeing what spawned from that about them trying to basically start to take that right away from us. They thought these 17, 16, 18-year-old kids thought they were more responsible and knew more than I did with a firearm or knew about their rights. So I go out, buy a gun, look on YouTube, and I started looking on how I can carry my gun lawfully. In the state of Florida, we're not an open carry state at all, except for exceptions, like on your property, your place of business, going to a gun range, and for me, it was the fishing, hunting, and camping exception. And so I was like, all right, cool. Now I gotta carry a gun and let everybody see it. And I've always seen videos of bad policing, but that wasn't in my head at the time. It was just about, how do I carry this? So one night, leave my gun in the car, I'm under a bridge, and it's about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and love fishing at this place. I've caught 40-inch, 44-inch snook. You guys, if you know what snook are. So it's a pretty massive fish in the 30-pound class, and you know, I love fishing there. But one day, 2 guys are up on a bridge, and I don't see them. You know, I get down there, about to make my first cast, and I hear some shuffling, look back, there they are, and all I hear is, give me your money. And I'm just like, oh shit. And here I am with no gun, and I don't know what these guys are gonna do, and I'm like, all I did was take my fish pole, swung it at them, they ducked, I ran, went back in my car, and dipped out. And from that day forward, I was out open carrying, regardless of where I was. It didn't matter. If I was fishing, I didn't care what people thought, because I just ran into this experience, and I'm like, put on a GoPro, started recording it. I go to Miami, and that's I'd done probably 8 or 9 events before that. No problems. Police were there. They're like, oh, shaking hands, everything's cool. And I'm thinking the same thing's happening in Miami. I see them coming. You see 4 approaching. I'm sitting there and I'm Facebooking live and da-da-da. I'm like, let's see what happens. I turn over, next thing you know, I'm looking down the barrel of 3 guns. And I'm like, holy crap. And this is something lawful. And I'm thinking these officers know the law, you know? And that's the one thing about a lot of this is that cops they lie to you. I'm going to tell you that right now. Even if you're doing the most innocent thing, they will lie to you to try to get you to incriminate yourself. You know, I was doing nothing unlawful, but they didn't know the law. So one thing about your constitutional rights is understanding when to talk and when not to talk. Sometimes you can give them things that will definitely say, hey, I wasn't even there, but that's it. Don't say, oh, I was with this person, this person, this person. Like, just say, hey, I wasn't there. I was never in. Let them do their investigation. If they still arrest you, more than likely, once they do a really good investigation, you'll be dropped of those charges if you did nothing wrong. And that's what's happened with most of everything I've gone through, is that I've been arrested for this. I got arrested in Ball Harbor. Didn't point guns at me, but the guy got out of his car. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, what's this guy gotta do? He reaches out and he's trying to touch my button, drop my magazine, and take my guns from me. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, I have a 4th Amendment right. He's just like, yeah. Doesn't even care. He's just like, whatever. And I'm like, hey, I'm just going fishing under the law. And he acknowledges that this law is valid. They just said that I couldn't fish where I was going. Mind you, I'm not even on the property of where I'm going. I'm on the way. And that's the part about the law. The law is 790.25, section 3, subsection 8. Or actually, let me rephrase that. It changed. It's 790.25, section 2, subsection H now. Because of the concealed weapons permit, they got rid of one of the numbers and whatever. But anyway, that's the law, and I said it, he acknowledges it, I just can't fish there, I'm not there. I'm like, hey, I'll just go back to go where I can fish. No, you're under arrest. I'm like, crap. I get arrested, and then, I think it took a month and a half, 2 months, they dismissed the charges. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna file a lawsuit. I start calling lawyers, I'm like, hey, this is what happened to me. They violated my Second Amendment, my Fourth Amendment, this. It's gonna cost you, the initial startup was $5K. Like $500 an hour for the first 10 hours. And then anything else after that was $500 an hour. And he's like, trust me, it's gonna take us time to research and da. He's like, it's gonna cost anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 plus. And your damages are nothing compared to what, you're gonna give us 3/4 of whatever damage you get, and you're gonna be left with whatever's left over. And I'm like, yeah, I wanna do that, but I don't have that type of money to just, here you go, and then keep giving and giving in hopes that, so I was like pro se. And there was a few people that were doing pro se talks on YouTube as well. Started following some of those, and then I reached out to a couple, and then one got back to me, and he was like, hey, I can help write some of this, and he's not a lawyer, he's not a paralegal, he's nothing, he's just a guy friggin' that understands pro se. And I explained to him the same thing I would explain to you, is if you know somebody that's in law, let me rephrase that, I can't do that because you know more than I do, but if you know somebody that's knowledgeable, ask questions. Try not to get legal advice, just ask questions about how you can do certain things to do a lawsuit. And that's what I did. Got the knowledge, started working with them, we write up all this stuff, and then about a year and 2 months later, I lose this lawsuit because of qualified immunity. And that's why I say cops can lie to you and they can get away with it. That's when things started getting disheartening for me with the way our judicial system is that the police and the judicial system can say you were not guilty of everything, but when you go to say, hey, you violated X, Y, and Z, they can also say, yeah, well, he gets a pass because he's a cop. And that's why it's so important to know your rights. If you don't know your rights, they will literally walk over you, arrest you for no reason when you've done nothing wrong. And it's about protecting yourself, and for me it was, almost got robbed, so I wanted to carry my gun. For you, it may not be with a gun. It could just, you be walking down the street, and because you have a green hat and a sweater, that's how simple it is. And it's like, look, I didn't do this, do your investigation or let me go. Like, you don't have to answer their questions. Your Fifth Amendment right is another one that's so crucial, is to say, hey, I'm not answering your questions. And they'll get so mad about that. When you refuse to answer whatever they want. It's like, where were you? It's like, have you ever been pulled over and like, oh, where are you coming from? What were you doing? Who were you hanging out with? Is that even relevant? It's like, but those are the circumstances that lead you into something that may get you, whatever, arrested for something that you didn't do. It's like, oh, I was hanging out down at the Kappa whatever party, right? Oh, get out of the car. Have you been drinking? Oh, that one little thing, I was hanging out at the Kappa house. That could get you out of the car. If you fail one of their sobriety little touch your fingers, wiggle your toes things, that's the start. There's a YouTube video where the guy blew zeros and still got arrested for a DUI. And that's why I say it's important not to talk to police,
Has there ever been a time when a police officer has asked you a question, you give him an answer, it's helped you?
Only the fishing have.
Okay.
Like, I've had them walk up and they're like, oh, how's it going? I'm like, hey, I'm doing well, how are you? Living the dream, man, cool. And they're like, well, I see you got some firearms. And I'm like, and this is a time in Sanford, not too far from here. 12 officers came out, and the first one came up, and I'm like, they haven't taught you the law yet? I'm like, on my way to going fishing, and while fishing pole is in my hand, and I'm like, and that's what I've done over the last 5 years, is that I've helped make this law more known for law enforcement. And I'm not saying it's gonna give you a free pass, they could very well show up. How they react, coin flip. So the ones that I've dealt with mostly in the last, I'd say 6 months, none or mostly all just casual, like, oh, you're out here fishing? Okay, have a good day. And they go about their day, I go about my day, no ID, no nothing. You know, and that's another thing, I'm not gonna get into the fishing aspect, but your fishing license is only needed to be given to a FWC officer. There's a statute for it, it's 379.354. In the statute it says a commissioned officer. And these officers, they will sit there and tell you, even the ones here, oh, we're commissioned officers. You are commissioned by the state of Florida, but you are not a commission by definition. And that's what you have, you know, there's definitions of all these things. You go to you go to 790 statutes, there's definitions for all of it. You go to 379 statutes, definitions for all of it. And when you look at the definition, a commission is a Florida wildlife and fishing officer. So, you know, that's why I say they will lie to you. You know, just always be, obviously I'm not thinking anybody in here is really out there doing anything bad, but sometimes you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and by doing things, saying things, could get you in a lot more trouble. That's why I say give some, if you know, you can give little tidbits, but don't be like, oh, don't give them a whole spiel of X, Y, Z, and you know, there's no point, because they really don't care. They're just looking for you to slip up to find a way in. And once they get probable cause, and now I'll come back to the lawsuit about that, there's probable cause, and then I found out there's arguable yeah, you all are laughing. I wasn't laughing when that was in my lawsuit, man. Why y'all laughing at me, man? Shit. No, but seriously, there's probable cause, and then there's, in the court, it's arguable probable cause, inarguable reasonable suspicion. And I was just like, I'm like, that's how and that's his qualified immunity. And that's why I say, I'm like, you could be doing everything right, and you say one wrong thing, and they throw the book at you, you know? So always be careful when dealing with the police, whether it's out fishing, whether it's driving. You're driving, and they tell you to get out of the car, fuck out of the car, okay? There's a case law about that, don't know it. I just know they say get out of the car. It's happened to me where I get pulled over. Before my HOA was a piece of crap. My car was just littered with stickers of Second Amendment stuff. And so I get pulled over, first thing they're saying is, you have any guns in the car? I'm like, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So your HOA stopped you from displaying Second Amendment?
Yes.
That's great.
If you live in an HOA, you do not have rights. I'm not joking. Whatever they say goes, period. So, you know, even the apartment complexes and things like that, if they don't like your message that you're promoting, because even after my HOA did that, I went around my whole place and I'm recording all these cars that have stickers, and you know, it wasn't so many political, it was just like, you know, bullshit stickers. I'm like, look at all these people that have stickers. Why are you singling me out? Just because of my message? And they're like, yeah, you still like guns, you know, your Second Amendment. And I'm like, took $300 worth of stickers off my car on the last day. And if I didn't, they were gonna put a boot on my car. Like, that's why I say fight for your rights. You know, there's a give and take. Like and that's why I say HOAs, you don't have rights. Whatever they put down in their bylaws or whatever, you can only paint your house a certain color, you can only do this, you can only do that. Guess what? You gotta follow it. But you don't live in an HOA. Put whatever you want, promote your message, and use your rights. But it is scary to use them. And that's what this is all about. I was scared shitless. I've had guns pointed at me 3 to 4 times, handcuffed, put in the back of a car 5, 6, 7 times, and all because lack of knowledge of law. And that's what it's about, is learn your rights, learn the laws, and that's pretty much it. But, if you have any questions, I'm all ears.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Was it hard to get your guns back after they handcuffed you and all that?
The first 2 times they took them, no. I did get arrested for felony wiretapping, which is a very weird law. Here in Florida, if I was to record a conversation between me and you, and then I make it public, that is wiretapping. What I got arrested for was a conversation between me and a public official. I posted it after I had put in a intent to sue for the Titusville. That's, you know where that is. But I put an intent to sue. I got a letter back saying, oh, we didn't do anything wrong. But I had this conversation stating in the complete opposite of what he was saying. So I posted it on YouTube, and I was about to do a pro se lawsuit. This is a completely different town. I was about to do a pro se lawsuit there. Me not knowing, I'm out driving around doing content. I get an offender bender, and the lady drives off, and the cops still have me, and they're like, can I take that knife from you? And I'm like, I had a little pocket knife in my pocket, and I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, take it. He's like, oh, I see you have a holster too. He's like, where are the guns? I'm like, in the car. I'm like, what's up? And he's like, what's the last 4 of your social? And I'm like, this guy's digging deep over a fender bender. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, 7276. And he's like, hands behind your back. And I'm like, and that's when I found out I had a warrant for wiretapping. That was a sketchy day, because I had no clue. Before I got arrested, and before I go to arraignment, before you plead guilty, not guilty, no contest, whatever, they drop the charges. Titusville's gonna get a lawsuit too. I'm gonna try, but once again, going through what I've gone through, I want to assert my rights, but I also understand that I'm in an uphill battle, and not being a lawyer, not knowing all these laws, and not knowing all these procedures and rules, it's hard. And if you can learn anything, half the stuff I learned is on YouTube. So, but getting the guns back has never been an issue until that day. But anytime I've ever been arrested, I usually get the guns back the next day, or when I bond out or whatever. So, as long as you're not a felon, you're good to go.
I believe over the summer they passed some sort of gun rights bill in Florida.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to talk about that?
It's an amazing law. It's going in the right direction. I don't think anybody here needs to pay for their rights to carry a firearm. I say the same thing about carry a firearm how you choose to carry a firearm. I don't care if you openly carry it or conceal carry it. It doesn't bother me in a way, but open carrying brings a lot more responsibility. Like even when I'm out open carrying, my head's on a swivel, because I don't know if Joe Schmo behind me is a good guy or a bad guy. And they always say, "Oh, you're giving your guns up for." Well, no, I'm not. I have to be more cautious and more aware of my situations. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, but I don't walk through the middle of the hood open carrying. Most of the places I go are usually on the rivers or the beaches. So it's not like I'm walking through MLK, like I'm not walking through a bad neighborhood. If I was to walk, I can do it, but I'm not doing it. It's not like I'd be moron. I'd have to have like 5 people with me, because I have that, that awareness. You have to be aware of your situations. And, most of the places I go are pretty safe, but it just, situation awareness, and that's the big one about open carrying. But I don't care how you carry. And it's a step forward. That's what I would say about it, a step forward.
Very nice.
The case that you just lost, could you appeal that anywhere?
I was actually in the appeals process. I had gone through the initial one, and they threw it out because it was called Rule 68 or 60B. And I was like, all right, and I read the rule, and it was about submitting documents in a timely manner, something to that effect. And so I appealed it, got all those documents, or at least I thought I got all those documents that they needed. It came back to me, and that's when they kind of basically thrown it out. They were like, well, because of your tardiness the first time, and you not doing it the second time, we think that nothing would have changed even if you'd done that. And they didn't. The one thing about a lot of it was that I submitted a video for, I thought the judge was gonna actually be watching the video, and I think the judge never saw the video. It was more about the oral half of it. If I'm wrong, I don't know. Sometimes they watch the videos, and usually I'm not, don't quote me on this, I think there was something that just happened where if a video is submitted, they usually have to go off the video because there's no line inside video, whether it's audio, reports. Like I said, police can lie. I've seen reports of complete just fabrications, but when you watch a video and you read the report, you're like, where did all this happen, So, but the appeal, I lost the appeal, and then I could have gone to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court only hears so many cases, and my case is probably not gonna get listened to.
I'd just like to add something to that. With him saying the police can lie, he's not just trying to be mean to them or he's not editorializing. I had a professor that taught me criminal procedure at this school. He said police can lie, and that's a good thing. So it's accepted that police can lie to you. He's not making stuff up himself.
Yeah, and that's why I say you have to be careful. You want to if you're trying to get out of a situation that you're not guilty of, it's okay to give some. That's why I always whenever police approach me, one of the first things that I say is, I'm going fishing. If that doesn't start ringing bells in their heads, and that's what I've done over 5 years, that when I'm going fishing should be the dinner bell saying, hey, all right, you can carry it, all right, he's good. That's what you think, but no, it's always, oh, how do I know you're allowed to possess those firearms? Well, I'm not violating any laws here. 901, 151, that's the stop and frisk law here in the state of Florida. Unless you've suspected of a crime, about to commit a crime, or have committed that crime, you don't have to show them anything. If cops ever walks up to you and you're just hanging out with your buddies at the bar, they're like, hey, let me get your ID. Or you're involved in an incident, but you're not the one involved in the incident, and they're like, oh, well, I need to put your name on the report. This is gonna be another scary fact. For 2 years, I did a records request for NCIC, FCIC, and that's a national database for warrants, if you're a felon, probation, all this. So I did this records request, and I did it 2 years in a row, and it came back 1 was 212, and the other one was 258 times my name was ran through a database because I was openly carrying a firearm. And it doesn't go away. You could do a records request. Michael Taylor, I'd give you my age, but we're not gonna go there. But if you did a records request, there's things you can find about me. You just do a Google search, open carry, or Michael Taylor, open carry fishing, and you'll see articles, arrest articles. You could probably even find some of the arrests that I've had. And once you go into these databases, it's forever. It never goes away. Just like me, my imprint of the internet will never go away. But I also want you to not be in a government database, because we know about that pistol brace, right? Dude, I was shitting bricks for friggin' 3 months because every gun I carried was an AR pistol. Well, and I'm talking about my AR pistol, and I'm like, ATF's gonna come and be like, I'm like, I had to take all these guns apart. I had to get rid of a few $100s worth of friggin' pistol braces, for what? Because they're violating the Second Amendment. And do I think that's the thing I want to stand on? No. But I do think the way the government's going is a place that have them and be ready. If you feel, for me, I'm 44 years old. I have more life to live, but I will also fight for the rights for others, because not everybody's ready to go fight. But I've had so much government backlash at me that I'm like, you want them? Come get them. Or if you want me to come to you, and I've gone to politicians, they do not like me. I promise you. I have one down in Palm Beach. I have another one that's in Broward County. Every time I've ever shown up to their doorstep, they've called the cops and they've told me to leave. Because I show up because they don't wanna talk to me over the phone. They don't wanna talk to me back on a letter that I've written them. So how else do you convey that you don't agree with what they're doing? And that's the same thing you should do, and that's the same thing we're about to go do here in a minute, is we're gonna go and there's gonna be so many people out there that have so many opinions on something, and it's like, I wanna hear your opinion. I believe in your First Amendment. There are things that you're saying that I may not agree with, but let's have a talk, and like, whatever happened to just being we can have disagreements. Not everybody could agree with everything I do in my life. You might agree with the guns, you may agree with the fishing, you may agree with, I'm a chef by trade. You know, there's so many things that we could probably be cool about, but if you're gonna throw away and discount me because of just one thing, and that's what a lot of these people that we're about to encounter, is that they're willing to just, like, oh, his opinion doesn't matter, but maybe there's a lot that he has to say that is right. You know, and that's that freedoms that we have. Freedom is scary. I'm sure, you know, this Ben Shapiro, he's got security with him. Why? Because he gets death threats and shit like that. I'm like, I've never had a death threat. Maybe it's because I got guns. But that did happen once, where a guy was like, oh, dude, come off your porch and let's talk about this. I'm like, it's 6:30 in the morning, I'm drinking coffee, and I'm like, he's Facebooking me, and I'm like, I'm looking out my parking lot, like, where the fuck is this motherfucker at? Dude, I'm like, going to the house, grab the AR, where are you at, dude? I'm like, and people will disagree, but to get to that point, it's like, our country has to turn around somewhere. I've seen this, like I said, I'm 44. It wasn't like this in the 90s for me. Even in the 2000s, it wasn't like this. But now it's like, whoa.
Where do you think like it all went wrong? Like, as you said, I know you said like in the 2000s it was like this, but like, not asking you to like pinpoint a specific thing, but I just wanted to know your thoughts.
I don't know if it was school, because I remember when I was going through grade school, I don't know, none of y'all have ever been hit with a paddle, have you? And if you've been hit with a paddle, like, we had paddles in friggin' elementary school. You went to the friggin' principal's office, it wasn't to go up there and shake his hand, it was there to get a friggin' paddle, because you were bad. You know, I've watched sex ed, same principle, they've taken that out of school and not teaching, you know, they've taken religion. I'm not saying religion has to be in there, I'm just saying, I've watched a lot of these things happen going from, you know, when I was in my teens, completely gone, and now the teachers they're allowed to give you whatever it is they want, and without backlash. And when there is backlash, you know, we've seen the viral videos of the people showing up to the whatever school board meeting, and they're like, what is this? You're indoctrinating, or you're giving these books to these kids. Why? And they're like, oh, they should have access. There's a bookstore, there's a Barnes and Noble down the road. If I want my daughter to read that book, I'll go buy another book. You know, go to the public library. If it's in the public library, don't bring it into my school library. And that's how I feel. That's one thing I have a 4-year-old daughter. I don't need that. And that's the torn part about what I'm trying to decide is, do I send them off? And it's the same thing with, you know, you see these school shootings. It's like, all right, they have one officer and to protect 300-400 students or whatever. And I have no way to protect my daughter once she's out of my hands on that property. Same thing here. For anybody that's 21, I think you all should be able to friggin' open carry on your friggin' campus. If you're old enough to possess the firearm, you should be able to carry the firearm. And that's what I see, you know. We used to have gun clubs in our schools. Those are far and few between now. You know, there's just so many things that I've seen change, and I don't know if it's the schools or what it is, but I think it stems from the education half of it, is that they're not being taught something. I'm not a teacher, so I don't know what it is. I just know I see certain things and I'm like, I attribute to a lot of the schooling.
Obviously, if you infringe your Second Amendment right, you would find that as like, and not like the ways you've done, but like if they try to take your guns and like all of them, like you would definitely want to rise up. And is there anything else that the government would do that would make you want to like have something to say about it?
Yeah, even your First Amendment right. The First Amendment, the reason those two coincide is we want to be able to express ourselves. That's why it's first and foremost your religion, your just freedoms. We want to be free. The Second Amendment just allows us to have something to go against the government to say, hey, you want to take these things from us, we will fight back. And we did it, we've done it. You know, you can look at what was, or from the Revolutionary War to the war here, the Civil War?
Yeah.
Our Civil War?
Yeah.
Right? You know, the reason there were so many fights and why it got won was because of firearms, and they were fighting for freedom. You know, they were fighting for slavery to be ended in the South. They were like, oh, no, we don't need your help. But we were United States. We weren't going to be a divided state. And that's why I think it's so special here, is that we're getting so divided on every little issue, every single. And it's just like, how do we start getting back together? And I think it's talking, you know, not really, it's like, yeah, it's gonna probably get heated at some points, but I think trying to actually have a conversation, that's what half of this is about, is just trying to talk to people. And hey, express your rights or lose them.
Yeah, an election probably won't be enough to just do that, right?
I don't think so.
There's a lot on 2024 that will do it.
I don't think it's gonna come, I don't think it's gonna come, it could come from a president, I could see that. I don't think it's gonna happen now, but if things continue to go down the route they're going, and even with the gun laws that they're still trying to push, I think there's a breaking point. And right now we're not there, but you know, they thought January 6th was a bad day, right? Trust me, man, January 6th is gonna look like a cupcake meeting, because the day that you've ever heard of the shot heard around the world, that was the shot that started the Revolutionary War. And whoever the one, FBI and whoever, I have to do this for YouTube, but FBI and anybody, I'm not saying it's gonna be me, I'm just saying, if the government goes to a point and it breaks somebody's threshold that has a following, that are willing to fight with that guy, alongside that guy, somebody will end up doing it. And depending on who wants to break the Second Amendment to that point, you know, if they say, oh, we're gonna do a gun confiscation, gun buyback, no more guns, you probably hear that shot.
You saw it happen in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
That one was terrible.
Yeah, you know, that governor there, what she did is, you know, once again, it was unconstitutional what she said. And then, if you haven't known about the update, when it got to this, it wasn't Supreme Court, it got to the injunction part of it, they were like, oh, because she changed the verbiage, it was only for parks and, it was like parks and something else. 2 places, instead of the entire state, it was just 2 places, parks and something else. And they were like, oh, that's perfectly okay. And it's like, no, it's not okay. Any infringement, and they have open carry there. And it's like, anytime that the government says, you don't need this, or we're gonna take this away, that should raise your eyeballs and be like, holy cow. Especially when it concerns to constitutional rights. Like, let's just say they were to say, all right, well, you know, we get that you have the right to unreasonable searches and seizures, but you really don't need that. You know what that's gonna allow? It's gonna allow the cops to just walk up to you and be like, give me your papers, give me your papers. You know, and that's what they did with the Jewish people. The same thing, is they're like, if you weren't from there, if you were the wrong eye shade or eye color or whatever, give me your papers, you didn't produce papers, off to the camp you went. And I'm not saying that's exactly where we're at, but that's how these law enforcement work, is they need your ID, they wanna put you on record, they need something to attach to something, and then once you're on those records or those papers or arrest affidavits, it doesn't go away, you know, and that's why I've been tracked. I mean, I'll tell you about this one time in Palm Beach. It was me and 8 other people the first day. We went out there, freak out, had like 10 phone calls of people freaking out. They're like, oh, you gotta tell them to stop, get out of here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, they're like, no, it's legal, whatever. So after that, I was like, I'm gonna make another trip and I'm gonna announce it. And I brought 50 people, and they knew a lot of people were coming. So the Secret Service that works along with West Palm get in touch with my parents. My parents tell me that the Secret Service wants to talk to me about my upcoming event in West Palm Beach. And I'm like, how does Secret Service get your phone number? And all it takes is Michael Taylor. They just track down any type of arrest or anything that has my phone number, and they were able to track all the way back to my parents. And that's how they got a hold of me. And that's why I say it's like, second you start giving up information and giving all your information, it's never gonna go away. I mean, even if you're not doing anything wrong, it could always, you never know, never know. Ready to go do it?
Yeah.
Let's do it, man. Yeah. Let the fun begin.
How are you? Wish I could have made it last weekend.
No worries, we'll have fun. Do you have any silencers from that? Because apparently they're not regular.
They're great. They're only giving your subscriber count. It gives you a little bit of money. I just it's like another editing. Like I edit so much, and I have another channel that I do just body cam. So it's like it's pretty ironic. I need to do more because I get emails from YouTube saying, "Hey,
I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't get in.
yeah, I have a few shorts that are almost.
I know, they are pretty views. All I can say is we're really just gonna see what happens.
Video's 90.
Because you know it takes them out of the house that works
One second.
Trump would be funny.
I've been on TikTok and I've got.
I highly doubt so. I mean, he did say he would, but
They don't like the gun stuff so much. But the stupid thing is, like, it's pretty much just type it over carry fishing. You'll see all my videos on Facebook. I posted something, they don't take it.
I wish I had a Florida stick. I have any like Florida stick.
I make good money on YouTube. I'm happy with YouTube.
I don't have any like see how he has like I wish I had
If I die on YouTube, I die.
I know we kind of trying to like avoid the whole right now. It's fine. I get
Here
it.
expressing my rights. Trying to get messages.
This is kind of like a
We appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
yeah. You know what I did have a wall? Try to beat it. I'll get beat it.
3 hours. Now we're gonna
Yes,
have
sir.
some fun.
I forgot to.
Okay.
You guys on the sophomore.
So are we going to the original table spot that we wanted to go to?
Oh yeah.
Where we intend
All right, everybody, that concludes it. This is a two-part video. One part of it is strictly
I think that's gonna.
the audience video of them asking questions of Mike, and of course this one here would be showing Mike answering the questions. And now the fun part is going to happen here. This has been 58 minutes video. The other one is 30 minutes of the audience asking the questions. And Mike's got a table. Now we're going to go to see Ben Sapiro. And until we get to there, we'll see you then.